Aloha guys, welcome to Hawaiian Top Team Media. I'm Andy Hamana, and today we're at Powerhouse Gym Aiea. I'm here with yet another one of the prodigies of the infamous fight family here in Hawaii. She now trains out of Jackson Wink in New Mexico. You can follow her as she continues in her amateur MMA career. Brianne Jhun.
Watch this, sweat it out now. Run that time, sweat it out now. Run that time, sweat it out now. Run that time, sweat it out now. Watch this, sweat it out now. Run that time.
Alright, so Brianne Jhun, you come from a pretty impressive lineage of fighters. I mean, your dad is Ron Jhun, which is just says it's enough in itself, and then your uncles, Kai and Brada, now your cousins are big fighters now too. So what's that like? Like, kind of give me a rundown of growing up, how that was, growing up in that kind of environment, and how it shaped you as a fighter.
We had a lot of expectations growing up. I guess you could say it wasn't really verbal. It was more of like, you just felt like you had something to live up to. Wrestling was probably the hardest for I think everyone to live up to, especially because Brada was state champs, and then all his brothers were, and then Kai and Tristan had their own lineage going. But transitioning into fighting, the nice thing is you can become your own fighter. So it didn't feel like you had to be the best of the best. You just had to put your heart and soul into it, and they'd accept you regardless. So it's just a lifestyle, I guess, for us. So it's normal. It's our normal life.
So tell me about your first fight. Like, what did you take from that experience? Like the emotions, the feelings. Like, what did you take away from it?
It was exciting. I think it was different for me. I've been wrestling since I was 6, so being in the competitive level and atmosphere wasn't any different. But then when you start to actually punch somebody, that's a lot different. I think kickboxing, because I started off kickboxing and didn't do MMA until 2017, that helped me to transition, like MMA being like that jitters that you get. I mean, the fights start really right when you get hit. Like, that's when you start to feel like, okay, like it's game time. But I mean, there wasn't really like any jitters that I got doing MMA. I think kickboxing, my very first one, I had the most jitters. My hands felt heavy. But other than that, after that, everything was normal. It was easy days for me. Like, it was just another training day. So that first kickboxing, was that the one at Philcom? Yeah.
I think I was there for that.
I did a catch weight at
2011? 12.
Yeah, it was a while ago. I think it was like 2011, 2012.
Yeah.
The girl was actually supposed to fight my sister. She was more closer to her weight. But my sister was too old. She was closer to my age. So we did a catch weight. I fought at 125 and the girl was at 155. So I mean, it was really,
she looked like a big girl.
Yeah, it was really, and she was way taller than me. But it was fun.
Yeah.
As soon as the initial hit came off of the bell, it was game on. So that was kind of fun for me. Ever since then, I fell in love with it. I actually hated fighting growing up, just because we were raised in the gym. My mom and them were always like teaching kids, and we were used to think like, oh, how come like we don't get attention or stuff like that. But now it's like more about giving back to the community that we understand as we got older. And then, yeah, ever since I started fighting, I got into the ring. I loved it ever since. So.
Yeah. So that being said, you've made the transition into making fighting a career. Is that something that Brianne Jhun's gonna make her stamp in, or do you see yourself pursuing other aspirations within the fight scene or without it?
I mean, everybody's goal is always to be, world champ or to hold a UFC title, and like that's nice. But I feel like if you have a big platform, like MMA does, you can reach so many different people, parts of the world, and using that as a platform to like better parts of the world and giving back. And I feel like a lot of Hawaii fighters gravitate towards that same goal into giving back, just because Hawaii is that island where everyone is like always giving, and then you want to be able to be a blessing. And that's what my dad always says, blessed to be a blessing, and it's true because that's what you want to do. So I want to use fighting as a platform to help different parts of the world give back to younger communities, especially the females, because we are up and rising in every sport like coming up now. But that's probably what I would use MMA for. And I feel like all the fame and stuff is not really things that I seek, or even titles really. But if it comes, title-wise, if I fight for titles, that's cool. But for the most part, I feel like that's not what it's all about.
Yeah. You guys, I've noticed that this family has, like, you guys got your head screwed on, right? Like, as hardcore of a fight family as you guys are, like, you guys are just well spoken. You guys have the most compassion. It's good to see that here, and you guys, I feel like you guys really represent that mana, that Hawaiian spirit, like, everywhere, and like spreading the aloha is something that's important to you guys, and that's good.
We're raised we have a relationship with God, and it's not just about having religion, because it's not a religion. You create a lifestyle, you create a relationship with Him. So growing up, we finally came into our own person of having that, and once I think you follow His path and you make sure that you stay on like the path that He has for you, everything earthly wise comes with it, and like that's not what you need to seek. You have to seek the kingdom of God. So I mean, it's cool, like I said, to have all those things, but it's not the goal.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, so I think we all can agree on that.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. So as if it weren't enough, you got your dad and your uncles and your cousins as training partners amongst the various talent we have here. You're training out of Jackson Wink, New Mexico. Like, tell me about that.
It's nice. I train with Michelle Watterson. I train I've trained a few times, like with John Dotson. There's a lot of girls. There's Celine Haga that I've been training with. She's a Norway fighter, and she's traveled like all around the world. She's amazing jiu-jitsu, and now she's been like working on her stand-up. Like, that's good. Like, I have so many bodies there for me, and that's what I appreciate, especially being as small as I am. Like, I was fighting at 125 here, and that wasn't a weight I should have been in, just because my body is too small for that. I'm 4'11", like I shouldn't be fighting at that big of a weight class. But training out of Jackson is really, really nice. The coaches are good there. Mainly one of my biggest coaches is Coach Joey Villasenor. He fought in the same circuits as my dad did back in the day. I believe they did like...
He fought here too, right? Yeah, I remember Joey,
So whenever my dad then came out there, and they finally got to see Coach Joey again, it was just like old times. And, it's nice. Before I went out there, my dad and Uncle Kai messaged Coach Joey, and just saying, hey, like, Bree's gonna be coming out there, Ron Jun's daughter. Just wanted to make sure you could take care of her. And ever since then, Coach Joey's always been in my corner at every fight. And the fights that I've had out there, my dad and Coach Joey and my other half, Rodney, they've all been in my corner. So for me, things don't change. I still like keeping my dad there. It's home for me, and I feel like that's where I started, and that's where I'm going to stay. And then Coach Joey's just an add-on to my arsenal, so it's fun for me. I love Jackson Wink. All the people there are really nice. They give me a lot of different looks, and I feel like the sparring really does help me to see things that I've never seen here. And I take it a little more seriously up there, just because I am by myself and I have to be held accountable. But yeah.
And you got to represent Hawaii.
Yeah, got a lot of representation, not just Hawaii, but I feel like every family out here in general that wants to make it big in some sport, like that's what you need to be showcasing. You need to show that you can move away, but you don't have to move away. But you have to be accountable for your actions and your training and be diligent. And that's just what it was about. I needed to move away to actually start to be on my own. I was so heavily dependent on my parents that I didn't think like I needed to be my independent like person to hold accountable for. But yeah, I finally realized it's tough.
Oh yeah, definitely. But like you have like this whole, like you got so much support back home and then over there.
It's kind of
MMA has grown drastically.
Yes, it has.
And I talked to your cousins about this too, and your uncle, and it's one of those things where, like, you guys are coming from a place where you grew up in this, and it's easy to tell, like, when you fight, at Kai fights, when Rada fights, when even Tristan, everybody that fights, like, you can tell there's a difference between someone that just kind of gets into fighting, and then there's people that grow up in it. You can tell you guys are crisp, you're clean, you throw combinations, like, you throw things, like, on purpose. Yeah, you're not just trying to hit somebody, you're thinking out as you're fighting. Which is, and I remember, I want to say, what was her name? Yeah? What's the name? Joy,
Oh,
right?
I think it was Joy, yes.
Joy, I remember that fight. I remember a lot of people saying, like, oh, this girl does Muay Thai, she's really good. And then you came in there and you were just in her face, just pressure.
I think that was my last kickboxing fight.
Yeah.
It was nice though. I think it gave me a different look. Thai fighters, you never really know just because they're always on their toes. and so they're kind of like bouncing. They're squaring up more. But I mean, it was a good fight regardless. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was definitely fun. I always loved being like an underdog, just because it's nice to go into somebody else's territory and put on a good show for everybody else. And the crowd there was amazing, and that's what I love about Hawaii in general. Crowds, they support their locals like regardless.
Yeah.
Like, they're diehard fans. So I definitely appreciated that being out there.
Yeah, that's something you don't see, Susan. It's great that we had that in Hawaii, because I remember training with your uncle and your dad. We had Bryson and we had Harris. Harris was a long-time champ. Max Holloway came out of nowhere and knocked him out.
Yeah.
And then he came out of nowhere and knocked out Bryson. Or it might have been vice versa, but he just knocked him out. And now he's Max. He's Max Holloway. But we're just like, yeah, like go Max. It's like we love Max. He's like our own, even though he was kind of a rival to us. Like
he's supporting Hawaii. Yes.
He supports Hawaii. He represents Hawaii. And everything that we stand for, and it's good to see that you guys are doing that too. You know, you guys are getting out there, whether it's football, wrestling, MMA. Like,
there's definitely a pool of us making it big in every sport. So I feel like because we're already a small island, we have to stick together. We have to support each other, and that's what I love about Hawaii people in general, not just athletes or fighters, but Hawaii people. Their support will be with you 100% regardless if you win, lose, no matter what you're going through. I feel like they're always going to be having your back.
Yeah. It's pretty impressive too, like when you think, when you hear, Brianne Jhun's fighting, it's like, oh man, you watch her fight, it's like, wow, like she's clearly Ron Jhun's daughter. But then it's one of those things where it's like, you're a Jhun, which is already impressive to be the daughter of Ron Jhun, but your other half is Kamaka. So it's just like, what? Like, bro, like that's like having like Max Holloway and BJ Penn, like being the son of them, or the daughter of them. Like, how does that ever like affect you when you fight or during training? Like when you're over there, they're just like, man, like you clearly have a lineage in you.
Well, yeah. So they didn't know too much about me when I first came out to Jackson's. And then I jumped into their pro wrestling class. So their classes are separated between amateurs and pro, and then heavyweights and lightweights. So I got invited. You have to be invited into the pro class. So I got invited to the pro wrestling because Coach Joey knew that I wrestled since I was a young age. And a lot of the girls, they were just tripping out. They were like, "Oh, you have so much, experience in wrestling and blah blah blah." And I was like, "Oh," and I try to shy away. I don't really like talking about it. But they asked me like where I came from, and I was like, "Oh, I'm from Hawaii." I was like, "I wrestled since I was 6. And Coach Joey knows my dad, and they were like, "Oh, how does he know your dad?" And I was like, "Oh, my dad used to fight, blah blah blah." And they're like, "What?" They're like, and then we sparred, and then they were like, "Oh, your sparring's good too, like your stand-up's good too." And I was like, "Oh yeah," I was like, "I've done kickboxing for like a while. I just transitioned to MMA and trying to make it like a thing." And they're like, "Oh," and they're just all amazed by it. So I mean, in the beginning, it did affect it a lot because a lot of people didn't know what to expect, just a new person coming out there. And then after that, it was nice to just be like let go of those expectations. After a while, that it was just normal. Like that's just how she is. So yeah, it was nice to just get over that hump. Just because I don't really like talking about it. But after that, I mean, for the most part, it doesn't really affect me. I know. Just because of how our families are, everything's about drilling, and it's always about basics, and that's what our fundamentals are on. It's on basics. So yeah, it never really affected me too much now as it did before. Yeah, sponsors that I have is what I started off with, High Demand. High Demand Clothing, you can get them here. I believe they're located in Pearl City. I do Cole Athletics. They do some of my most of my fight attire they've done. And they're coming out with new like lines now. I think the daughter Ari is an all women's line, and it's Ruthless Elegance.
Oh, nice.
Yes, that's the daughter's line, and then the son's line is the core. Who else have I got? I partnered up with Victorious, which is a local boy. He's from here. I know his wife's sister, and now he lives out in Washington, so we partnered up with them. Ninja Brand, which is John Dotson's line, we partnered up with him. And I'm a little bit in with Virus now. Who else is there? I think that's all of them for the most part. I'm trying to think, making sure that's all of them. Yeah, I think that's it. And then Powerhouse, I mean, this is where I originally started. I mean, 808 Top Team, 808 Fight Factory was where I really just originally started, but Powerhouse is definitely giving us a home to still keep that going. So I just want to say thank you to all of them, and thank you to all my fans, and we're still on this journey.
So do we have any fight scheduled?
Right now there is a fight talked about in the works. I believe it's in April, and it might be back home on Oahu. So I'm excited about that. Possibly a pro debut. We're still talking about that, still discussing. Probably get a few more amateur matches while I'm out back in Albuquerque. Possibly like one or two more, and then April comes. But trying to keep active in this new year coming. But then that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking to turn pro this coming year.
That being said, with Bellator making their debut here in Hawaii, is that something that you're looking forward to, as in more organizations coming and being able to possibly make your debut in a big show here back home?
I was kind of bummed, but it wasn't God's timing. I really wanted to do my pro debut at Bellator in Hawaii. I feel like that just would have been perfect to do it back home. That's where I started fighting. I don't want to be anywhere else doing a pro debut, and I wanted to be on a big circuit, and Bellator was perfect. So, and by the way, thank you to Eli Malay for bringing that out here. Her and Max are doing big things, especially on that Hawaiian wave, and Yancy too. So I just want to say, like, if they keep doing what they're doing, I mean, UFC is going to come to Hawaii sooner or later. But Bellator would definitely be one. Invicta, LFA, those would definitely be circuits I would like to get on. But if Bellator, which they should, come back to Hawaii, I'd definitely love to get on that.
As long as the crowds are smart and safe.
Yes, in Jesus' name, the crowd, Hawaii crowd can get a little crazy.
Especially Blaisdell.
Yes, and Blaisdell hasn't sold out in years, so I'm pretty sure they're either close to selling out or they already sold out. So that, numbers-wise, that's good for Hawaii. I mean, that's what I'm saying. The support from Hawaii is a big thing. Like, especially not even being like a fight circuit, just in sports in general, they'll always sell out because the support system is big here. So as long as the people are good, I feel like circuits will come back.
So Brianne Jhun, mahalo for being here today. We look forward to your pro debut and a long, successful career. Thank you guys for being here today. This is Hawaiian Top Team Media. I'm Andy Hamana. Run the track!